if your brain is a little bit like a computer, what do you do to change a file in there? You can't just hit a button. You have to first display that file. So you're telling your brain, you're letting yourself know what it is that the problem is and what you want to work with.
The thing is that once you experience tapping and the benefits of it, you want everybody to tap. You know, it's free, it's easy, it's simple. Oh, I love that piece.
I know.
I felt
that.
Oh, I've never done that before, and I just felt this weight lifting from my heart. Wow.
Welcome to the Wellness Way with me, Philly J. Lay, a layperson's guide to your natural health systems, your very own NHS.
Hello, lovely people. And today is a really special episode for me. And so I want to take the opportunity on my first podcast back after losing my partner to introduce to you the absolutely amazing tapper extraordinaire, amongst many other things, Sharon Smith. And Sharon, thank you so much for coming on today and doing this.
Thank you for asking me. It's great to be here.
I know that you're a pain specialist and a psychic clairvoyant, and you see angels and people and pets. She sent me a link, a really beautiful link to her YouTube channel with a video grieving for a pet, and said, I hope this helps. And it really, really did. I don't know if any of you follow me on social media, but if you do, you'll know that I've lost my little dog, Rupert Bear, recently, and I am absolutely distraught. And firstly, I want to say thank you so much to all those people who have sent me messages of support and love to Rupert Bear. So did you get into this pain specialist? I know you had a back injury. Well, you had niggles in your back for most of your kind of adult life, didn't you? And then you had...
It wasn't an injury. It was emotional stuff. I just leaned... It kind of culminated in, I leaned over to put a cup in the dishwasher and could not straighten up. And I was young, healthy, in great shape, regular yoga practice. And it totally laid me out for a week. And I decided I was going to figure out what was causing this, because there wasn't any physical reason for me to be having this.
Well, this is it. You did yoga virtually every day, didn't you? I mean, you were incredibly fit.
Oh, yeah. So it's not, I knew it wasn't that. It's like, what the hell is causing this? I made a promise to myself I would work it out. And I'd known about EFT for some years from Joe Mercola's newsletter that used to come in the mail. Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah. And it was, I'd known about it and I thought, yeah, it's kind of interesting, that tapping stuff, but I don't know what you'd ever do with it. I couldn't. Yeah,
this is it, figuring it out, and also getting that connection to emotional aspects of what's going on in the body with the tapping. There's no point really just sitting there and tapping and going, even though I'm in pain, I love and accept myself. You have to actually get to the root cause. And I know you read a book, I've got it written down here. Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
Yeah, I went to have a massage. It was a girlfriend of mine, and she met me at the door and she said, oh my God, you have to see this. You have to see this list, this book. And I had never heard of it before. And it was Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. But in the back of this book is a list of over 200 ailments and illnesses and their probable underlying emotional causes. And my friend Wendy, she said, this is an incredible list. She said, I just don't know what you'd ever do with it. And the instant I looked down at it, it was like the cartoon character with the light coming on over their head. I had this enormous rush of information come in. I knew immediately that, oh, well, that's how to use that tapping stuff. This is and I also knew that pain wasn't here to hurt us. It's here to help us. It's here to guide us and to let us know that we have things that we need to turn loose of emotionally. We're supposed to we're designed to feel the full range of emotions as humans. They all belong to us, but holding on to things like fear, anger, and grief for prolonged periods of time causes our physiology to begin to malfunction. And it results in things like anxiety and pain, depression, illness even. So we're supposed to feel these things, but we aren't supposed to hang on to them.
And that's where tapping comes in so perfectly. So for any of the audience that haven't seen any of my tapping videos, EFT, emotional freedom technique, can you just explain to us, Sharon, exactly what's going on here in the body and how we do it?
Okay. My explanation of tapping, thank you for asking, is substantially different than anyone else's. And on what I see energetically happening. And it's fun to say amygdala. We all like to say amygdala. And yes, it does work on the amygdala, but it's doing much more. It's a more far-reaching thing that we're doing. Humans are an intricate and elegant species. And what we're doing, we're electrical in nature, and we know this. If you've ever had an EKG, you know they're measuring the electrical output of your heart. It's nothing weird. It's not woo-woo. And this electrical charge flows through our bodies. And it flows in large part along the acupuncture meridians. And when we're tapping, we're actually physically tapping into our own electrical energy, our wiring, if you will.
Yeah.
I think the meridians are a schematic of our physical electrical wiring in the human system. It's like circuitry. Now, so we're doing that. We can manually access that. We're also talking while we're doing this. And I'm just going to say here, I think at this stage of our development right now, you got to talk out loud. It may calm you down a little bit to tap without talking, but I can't get that to work nearly as well if we're not talking. You got to talk.
Yeah.
But you are directly addressing your own subconscious. And sometimes people will say, well, I don't want to say that bad stuff, because we usually start off saying what the problem is. We're identifying it. It's like, okay, if your brain is a little bit like a computer, what do you do to change a file in there? You can't just hit a button. You have to first display that file. So you're telling your brain, you're letting yourself know what it is that the problem is and what you want to work with. And as we're tapping, we're saying we've got this pain, we've got this pain. But then you begin to pair it. I call it pain pairing. As you move through the tapping points, you're going to pair it with the emotions that you're feeling around this. And sometimes people have a hard time getting in touch with that. I do have a free gift that helps you with that. I'll make sure that you can give that link to people.
Absolutely.
Because it is a useful thing. And when people come to me with pain, the first question I always ask is, okay, when did it start? That's how you start to identify what's really under it. And most people go, oh, 2 years ago in July, this back pain started. Okay, great. So what was going on in your life, personally and professionally, in that 6 months or few months leading up to that? And they always know. We're smart. We know what our stuff is. No one ever goes, oh, I don't know. They go, oh.
Yep. And that's how you start identifying what's gone on. And I'm also trained in matrix re-imprint. So we go one stage further, where we go back to, when did it first come up in your life? When did it first happen? And that's always usually in the first kind of 7 years of your life, or even in your past lives. And that is also kind of trauma that we have to deal with and break and tap. And tapping is just a phenomenal. Everybody knows I love my tapping on this show. So I want to come on.
Can I just say a quick thing about patterns? That is not the start of it for anyone. And I've got to use a good example. A guy came to me a while back for knee pain. And when it started was 2 years before. His wife had left him for someone else. And that was not the problem. We followed it back. He recalled having injured that same knee in a high school football game. I said, okay, what was happening in your life then? He said, well, my best friend stole my girlfriend and we were never again. Okay, so because I know how to look at patterns, we followed that back in this conversation to when he was 5 years old and experienced repeated betrayals, not abuse by anyone, by any standard, but repeated betrayals and abandonment by a parent at the age of 5. That's where he picked this pattern up. Now, it wasn't just that. The parent had also carried a huge betrayal pattern and had lifelong things with that. So this guy also carried a DNA pattern from that parent that we needed to release. So it's interesting work, but yeah, you want to go back, and occasionally past lives are involved, but usually it's this life. This is the one we're in right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is fun. It's interesting.
It is very interesting. It's fascinates me. It blew my mind when I discovered tapping and energy psychology. So I want to come on to you now and talk about death. And I saw a video of yours a couple of years ago, I think it was, where you did a wonderful tapping technique on your YouTube channel for people coping with losing somebody that's dying.
Yeah.
And it is an incredibly stressful moment of your life when you're watching somebody die. And I've watched many people die over my life, far more than I wish to remember, but also with my little dog, over the last few weeks, watching and that waiting for them to die, because it's going to happen and that there's nothing you can do about it. And it's the pain of that, I think, is almost worse than when the release comes. Can you talk us through that, Sharon?
The first thing that I will tell everybody, all of you listening, is that I see them after they leave their bodies and nothing bad happens. They don't go anywhere bad. They feel immediately better. There is an enormous expansion. Animals and humans experience the same physical feelings with death. It starts here in the chest, around the heart area, and its expansion as they leave their body into all that is. Let's just do some regular old tapping for this. Let's go to the top of the head. I feel like I can't breathe, like I'm being strangled.
I feel like I can't breathe, that I'm being strangled.
Like hands around my throat.
Like hands around my throat.
I'm choking on grief.
I'm choking on grief.
Beside the eye. It's too much to take in.
It's too much to take in.
I've had grief before.
I've had grief before.
And I never got past it.
And I never got past it.
I carried it around.
I carried it around.
And I sort of got used to it.
And I sort of got used to it.
It wasn't as acute.
It wasn't as acute.
And then Rupert died.
And then Rupie died.
And now it's all rushing back.
And now it's all rushing back.
I give myself permission to remember.
I give myself permission to remember.
That I am a powerful eternal being.
That I am a powerful eternal being.
There is no such thing as death for me.
There is no such thing as death for me.
Or for any of us.
Or for any of us.
Including Rupie.
Including Rupie.
And so now that I am remembering this.
So now that I'm remembering this.
I forgive myself for holding on to so much sadness and grief.
I forgive myself. Oh, that's feeling hard to say. I forgive myself for feeling so much sadness and grief.
It's safe for me to forgive myself.
It's safe for me to forgive myself.
It's safe for me to let it go.
It's safe for me to let it go.
It's safe for me to let go of all this overwhelm.
It's safe for me to let go of all this overwhelm.